when I started investigating the Franklin scandal, it was like I was there in 2002. And it was the last adjudication for it was in 1991. And so I was there like 12 years after a lot of it went down. And I felt like people were so frightened to talk about it. I felt like I was writing an expose on the KGB and Stalinist Russia. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how frightened. And then in the heartland of America, that's how frightened people were.
That's pretty unreal. So who was all punished for other than obviously Larry King, like in terms of the Franklin scandal, like whatever justice came from it?
There was no justice. King was put away for 10 years
But for a financial crime.
for embezzling $40 million. And when he got out, he had a no-show job at a BMW dealership in Virginia. And since then, he's tried to ingratiate himself into three groups that would give him access to children.
Still?
Yes,
He's still alive?
yes, and he's a guy like Lawrence King. He's a super predator, and he's like a great white shark looking for kids. And he got enmeshed with Granville Academy, and I heard about that. And Granville Academy isn't even a school; it takes lower socioeconomic children on field trips.
Jesus.
So I put an end to that. And then next, he surfaced with the Washington Redskins event committee, and then I put the kibosh on that. And then he surfaced with Opera Nova, Opera Nova, and it's it serves a number of functions, but it teaches lower socioeconomic kids how to sing. And then I got him kicked out of there. But there are people in the government that know he's a super predator, and it's up to me as a journalist to try to protect these kids by making sure that he doesn't get into these organizations.
Like you literally have to just follow him. Like, what do? You just periodically check in on him just to see?
Yeah, I keep a close eye on him. Whenever he sticks his malignant head up, and I think he's stuck it up recently. I've got to look into it. Whenever he sticks his malignant head up,
And he's always and he's trying to just get involved with it. That's crazy. But so he's never been convicted of any sexual crime. So there's no registry, nothing.
no.
And that's by design, in your opinion. Like
That is by design, and and again with Epstein justice, here is another case where there are people in the government that know that this guy is a super predator, and they're just allowing him to prey on children.
Just because in their mind, like essentially unraveling that ball will cause them so many more problems that they're just allowing this kind of like evil to just happen.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets out of control, I mean, he'd probably end up dead like Craig Spence, who was Craig Spence was the other guy that ran the Franklin pedophile network, and he was in Washington, D.C. He was a lobbyist, and he had a mansion that was wired for audiovisual blackmail as a CIA asset, and he committed suicide. On the internet, it's speculated that he was suicided, but his finances had been pulled from him, and he had AIDS, and I think I think that dark, malignant corner of our intelligence that perpetrates things like the Franklin scandal and Epstein told him that either he should kill himself or they would help. And he ended up in the Ritz-Carlton in Boston in a tuxedo, and he took an overdose of nortriptyline. And next to him was an article that talked about CIA people being called before judiciary bodies. And there was a grand jury in Washington, D.C. that covered this up too. And Spence had been subpoenaed by that grand jury. And so I think at that point, and Spence was getting a lot of newspaper press on him, just as Epstein was getting a lot of press. And if you're a blackmail artist, you cannot afford to get a lot of blackmail press, a lot of press, because people are going to know exactly what you're up to at that point.
Right, kind of gives it up.